everybody, and welcome to Energetic Principles Report for the Leo season and the new moon, the first new moon in Leo. My name is Melissa LaFara, and I'm an astrologer and tarot reader from San Diego, California. And today we're going to discuss all these Leo happenings now that we are approaching the land of the lion. So let's get started.
May the stars be with you.
All right, so I'm so glad that Leo season is approaching. As you can see by my lion dress, I'm really supporting that fire energy coming to us. And so Leo season begins on July 22nd, where we move to 0 degrees at 8:16 a.m. Pacific time, which is 3:16 p.m. Universal time, and July 23rd, 1:16 a.m. Aussie Eastern time. So what does Leo bring us? You know, what is this season about? Well, it's really about finding your joy and your heart's desire and getting more on board with what it is that you want, which is not always a welcome thing from others to have your own self-considerations. But really this Leo season in the next month will be about highlighting, you know, how you find joy in life and how you express yourself in this world and to others. So I feel that this fiery energy that's going to be coming up is really just going to get us aligned with, you know, our heart's joy, because the North Node has now moved into Leo. It's been there for a few months now, and that's really where all our souls are progressing, is into this place of more love and what it is that we want for ourselves. So that being said, there's some ups and downs with that, of course, because there's a right way and a wrong way to go about getting what it is that you want for yourself. You know, the right way is to, you know, because Leo is about the ego, and there's sometimes misconception around the ego that that you have to, that, you know, obviously too much ego is not a good thing, but you have to have an ego, because if you don't have an ego, then you're not going to be able to go after what it is you want in life. So this is really the time when we're going to be training our egos to step into more of a healthy place versus somewhere like arrogance or selfishness or, you know, delusions of grandeur or superiority complex most off. So this season we're going to be developing our egos to a more healthy place. And that being said, you know, there's just going to be enthusiasm in the air. This is a fixed fire sign, to where that fire is burning and it doesn't stop. It doesn't fizzle out. It's going and going and going, and it's constant. So there's going to be this enthusiasm in the air that we can grab onto, that really is kind of tying us into, you know, how we creatively express ourselves and the creative energy that's around us. So this is a perfect time to really get in touch with your own creative expression and what you and yourself wants to bring to others. You know, we all are creative in some way. Even if you don't feel you are, don't let that fool you. There's different levels of creativity. Sure, there's a man that paints this masterpiece, Michelangelo or something, but there's also the person that dresses themselves every day in the cutest little outfits, and they're expressing their self-creativity through that. So just know, you know, there's no fine line of what creativity is. You know, life is creative. So now's the time to really go forward, find your creative impulse, and then shine through it. Because Leo also has to do with performance and showing off. Well, you know, there's showing off. No one wants a show off. But when you perform and you make people happy with your, you know, enthusiasm and joy and your creative self-expression, that really enlightens all of us. So performance is really highlighted over the next 30 days or so. But ultimately, we are getting in touch with our own inner child and what it is that is special within us. We all have something special to offer, and that's where our little Leo seed is germinating right now. What is it that you have to offer that is special and can only come from you? That is the question you're going to want to ask yourself during this Leo season. All right, so let's talk about that new moon that's happening in Leo. And it's not just one new moon. That's actually what makes this month really special, is that we're going to have 2 new moons in Leo. The first one, which I'm talking about here today, is when we squeak into Leo season, we have an immediate new moon. So that's going to be happening on Sunday, July 23rd at 2:45 a.m. Pacific time, which is 9:45 a.m. Universal time, and then 7:45 p.m. Aussie Eastern time. So this is kind of like our first little burst, you know. I love that it's lining itself up with that 0 degrees of Leo, you know. Suddenly we enter Leo, and then all of a sudden we have this new moon. So what better way to start this season than to have that quiet moment where we go within and we really decide what it is that is worthy of our undertaking right now. So this weekend, in the beginning of the week, it's a great time to find a little me time, perfect for Leo, to go within and go quiet and to really find where it is that you want to direct that fire that's going to be coming to us. You know, because Spirit is essentially leading us to our joy, and these first few days of this new moon is really going to help us kind of culminate that, you know, because it's a sheer life fire of sorts, and this is a perfect germinating seed for this new Leo season, and going after what it is our hearts want. So just know that with this new moon, it's really an opportunity to start stepping ourselves into a cycle of self-expression, and facing our fears around those areas, and being able to share what it is that you know, we see, and you know, get our creative energy out there. So another facet that we can really tap into right now with this energy that's coming our way is to dive into your courage. You know, find that courageous lion within yourself that can take action, because we have the Sun conjunct Mars during this new moon, and it's been conjunct Mars for a few weeks leading up, and it'll be conjunct Mars for a few weeks after. So we're all kind of revved up, and that ego is really at play, and it's best to set the intentions necessary to make sure that your ego is playing nicely essentially. So this is a perfect time to really kick off this Leo season and find that inner fire within. And on top of that, we're going to have Venus approaching an opposition with Saturn, Gemini and Sagittarius. And so with this season coming in, and our creative impulses are there, and we want to express ourselves, chances are we're going to really be feeling the need for praise more, and getting some type of recognition for our accomplishments as we approach this opposition. So just know that you're probably going to want to be noticed for your work at this time. And if you're not, we're really just developing that in Leo season, so you can get your work and your creative output to where it is worthy of that praise. Not that it's not now, but sometimes just a little more needs to be done in order to get there. So just know that you might have that feeling of a need for recognition. We also have Mercury that's going to be conjunct the North Node in Leo. That's really just pushing, you know, our minds are on board with what our heart wants, and we are ready to express ourselves. We're hungry to express ourselves and go in this path that we see that really highlights where we find joy in life. Once again, it's not a selfish thing, because we all deserve joy, and it's up to you to step into what that looks like for you and then go forward with it. So just know that there's so much juice behind this new moon. It is the first of 2 new moons, and the second new moon is going to be a solar eclipse, the Great American Solar Eclipse, at the end of Leo on August 21st. So we'll talk about that once that gets a little closer. So if this new moon doesn't work out for you, you're going to have a second chance, but how about we put these 2 new moons together and really make this powerful? And you want to know where this new moon sits for you? I have my horoscope series that is launching at the same time as this video. So go check it out to see where that sits for you. And then go forward enthusiastically into this Leo season. Okay, so let's talk about the Sabian symbol for this new moon degree, which is at, I believe, 0 degrees and 44 minutes. So we're going to round that up, and as Sabian symbols go, to 1 degree Leo. And so what Rudyard says about 1 degree Leo, he paints this picture. Blood rushes to a man's head as his vital energies are mobilized under the spur of ambition. So what does that mean? Well, blood rushing to the head, and all of a sudden we feel ambitious and we're fired up and ready to go, you know? So Rudyard says the keynote to this is an irruption of biopsychic energies into the ego-controlled field of consciousness. So when you have that rush come in, and that's kind of what propels us, the ego propels us in that drive to go forward, there is a way to use that rush in a positive sense, and there's a way to be overtaken by the rush and have it lead to more of a negative outcome. Because ultimately it's touching on the idea of conflagration, which is about extensive fire that destroys a great deal of land or property or whatever it is that you built. So you can see there's a fine line between fire and it being warming and helpful and what really gives us life, and then something that can be incredibly destructive. You know, because if you have too much fire or too much heat and no water, you're gonna have deserts, right? And it's gonna be this dry landscape. But at the same time, it keeps you warm and you know, really livens up the heart and the soul. So you kind of have to learn how to balance that intense fire that's gonna be around at this time. You know, I would say the positive side of that is to work on a steady ego and have that eternal flame kind of pushing you forward in this steady type of rhythm versus kind of getting a little hot-headed about things and finding yourself in areas where you feel pride or you feel possessive or something, or you know, your showmanship is taking it to an obnoxious level of sorts. So I would find out how you can balance your ego at this time and get it steady so that it works for you and it's just this constant flame that burns and keeps you motivated but doesn't overtake you and, you know, burn your surroundings in a sense. Because I love how in occult tradition, there's 3 types of fire. There's the electric fire, the solar fire, and the fire by friction. And the electric fire is noted with Aries, that kind of like electrical pulse, that energy in the air that just kind of sparks that flame. Then for Leo, we have the solar fire, which is around, you know, spontaneous radiations, like a nuclear kind of explosion, or conscious emanations where it's conscious through the mind. So that's kind of learning how to balance that spontaneity and that nuclear eruption and kind of have it more from the mind where it's in a place that is more consciously aware, so you can direct that fire. And then that fire by friction for Sagittarius, that's perfect for, you know, how Sag is related to politics and how our enthusiasm ends up creating friction with other people, which sparks, you know, debates and you know, anger even at times. So I found those 3 different fire symbols to be very interesting, and how Leo is really around that solar fire, because Leo is ruled by the sun. So that being said, you know, how can we use this Leo season to really propel us forward with this burst of fiery energy, to really hone in and steady our ego rather than let it burn our house down? So that's the question you're going to want to ask during this new moon in Leo. All right, so let's see what the tarot has to say about this Leo season and this immediate new moon. Okay, Okay, so it looks like we've got the Empress as our focus and the Eight of Wands as our grounding card. So I found these very interesting because this is a burst of energy, I would say. And the first thing I would say is that this is fast growth. Fast growth is on the horizon. So how can we embrace that? Because ultimately that Empress is talking about more abundance, more fertility, more creativity, and how we can nurture these things in our lives. New projects being born, you know, so chances are, you know, you could have something come out of the blue where all of a sudden someone wants to work with you, or you have a new idea and you want to nurture that and take that beyond the idea form and really bring it into reality. You know, so the Empress there is so positive, and especially with the Eight of Wands, like, it's positivity kind of on fire and going forward here. So I would say this is not the time to waste time. We can really grab onto rapid growth if we're willing to nurture it right now. So just know that creative energy is really going to be rushing in, literally. So how can we use that? And another thing about the Empress is that pregnancy is highlighted, you know, that creative energy. So we can be pregnant with our own creative impulses and ideas and our projects, or we can be pregnant with an actual person. So chances are, if any of you out there are trying to conceive, give it a go. You never know. Something might happen for you. But just know it's really about really rising to the challenge around how we nurture our own creativity and our own ability to be abundant and joyful in life. And it really is time for us all to shine. So where are you going to shine during this Leo season? All right, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you stopping by and giving this video a watch. And just a quick reminder, I do have those horoscope videos that will be up for viewing for this Leo season if you want to find out more. And in the meantime, if you would like to contact me or see where I hang out, you can find me on energeticprinciples.com. And you can also find me on Instagram and Facebook at Energetic Principles, where I do daily IG guidance with fun pictures that I make. I also have a podcast with Shauna McGrath of Neo-Feminine Astrology, and our podcast is titled The Feminine Principle, Astrology for Authentic Living, which we release weekly. That's a Monday through Sunday show. So check that out on Podbean or iTunes, or we also have it on YouTube now. And speaking of YouTube, if you've liked what you see here today, please share the love, as this is Leo season. So share these videos with your friends. I'd love you to write some comments down below and tell me what Leo season's looking like for you. And please, please, please subscribe to my channel. So I'm hoping everybody has a wonderful, wonderful Leo season as we enter the roaring, courageous land of the lion, to where it's really about your own joy and what your heart is saying. So until next time, may the stars be with you.